have all the folks again join us over here. Everybody from the American Legion. Take another picture, so come up here and join us. It is with deep respect and heartfelt gratitude that we announce the retirement of Battalion Chief Frank Osorio, a leader, a mentor, a military veteran, and a true friend of many here in Montebello. Chief Osorio's journey began in the East Los Angeles and the Montebello area, where his deep-rooted values of hard work, humility, and service first took shape. He was the first in his family to enter the fire service, forging a path defined by dedication, sacrifice, and integrity. Before becoming a firefighter, Frank served with honor in the United States Marine Corps, for 7.5 years achieving the rank of colonel. He proudly lived by the Marine Corps ethos, one for many, always honor. The belief that shaped the leader that we have here in Montebello and have been fortunate enough to have served in our community. Frank began his fire service career as an auxiliary firefighter with the Montebello Fire Department before being hired by the Long Beach Federal Fire Department, followed by the Marshall Fire Department. In 2001, he was sent home to Montebello Fire, where he would continue to build his legacy. Throughout his career with the Montebello Fire Department, Frank held the ranks of firefighter, firefighter paramedic, engineer, captain, and battalion chief. So no matter the badge or title, Frank always led as a humble person. He never sought recognition or demanded respect. He earned it quietly, through his actions, his example, and his unwavering support of those around him. And if you ever called him chief, he would simply smile and say, "Call me Frank, please." Frank was a mentor in every sense of the word. As a member of the fire department's training and explorer advisor and part of the urban search and rescue team, he committed himself to helping others grow. He shaped generations of firefighters, setting high standards for performance, professionalism, and pride. On the fire grounds, he ensured that every member achieved their maximum potential and returned home safely. In the community, he made sure that the image of the department was held to the highest standards. And in the fire station, he made sure that members never forgot why they were the uniform. But most of all, Frank was there when you needed him, whether to teach, to guide, or just to listen. He returned after his retirement to help our department when we needed his leadership the most. That's the kind of man he is: steady, loyal, and always ready to serve. Frank now steps into retirement once again, this time to make room for his son, Frank Jr., to begin his own journey with our Montebello Fire Department. In this passing of the torch, we see the legacy of a man who gave everything for his department, his brothers and sisters in the fire service, and most of all, his family. Chief Osorio, thank you for your 25 years of service, for your leadership, your humility, your friendship, and the immeasurable impact you've made on all of us. We wish you and your family, Maria, Frank Jr., Bernie, and Freddie, a retirement full of joy, peace, and well-deserved rest. Job well done, Frank. Number 5.
Mayor, I'm humbled. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Tamara. Fire Chief. For believing in me, my other counterparts, my good friend Freddie Jimenez, Fire Chief here as well, me and the Town Chief, and I'd like to thank my wife. My kids, unfortunately, one's in Boston, one's working, and one's with his son, watching him play baseball. So they couldn't be here today. But I do have my brothers in the fire service. There's so many people out here that I still want to thank. Mikey, I see Ruben, I see Zach, Hermes, I mean, the list goes on and on, everybody. I know Joe, I know you're a former military guy. Carlos, I mean, there's so many people here I want to thank. You guys too. Chiefs, Andy, Donald, my probationary firefighter. And look at him now. And like I said, I'm very proud of wearing the badge, and representing Montebello Fire Department. Thank you.
Thank you. We typically have from the final grant, some of our fire personnel join us up here for a picture. That's going to be a lot of people, but.
All right, everybody, right here. We got everybody now on the count of three. Big smiles right here. 1, 2, 3. That's cool. All right, everybody else, all right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Got it? Good, good. Sorry.
I mean, you're way.
Which way?
Okay, we also have one more recognition, which is National Public Works Week. Next week, May 18th through May 24th, the City of Montebello would proudly recognize the National Public Works Week. In 1935, the Federal Emergency Administration of Public Works was renamed the Public Works Administration, and a robust economic package that employed the public and strength price businesses would go out to help the U.S. make its way out of the Great Depression. Shortly thereafter, Public Works leaders formed the American Public Works Association that this year has chosen the name of National Public Works Week to be People, Purpose, Presence. This year's theme celebrates the core values that guide public works professionals in their daily service to our community. The City of Montebello's Public Works Department is made up of men and women who understand that it is their department that enables the citizens to perform business and conduct their personal lives in peace. Keeping our city infrastructure properly functioning and responding to emergency requests makes this department a 24/7 job. Without you, our city would not be the well-oiled machine that it is today. With that said, I would like to ask that we give those members of the Public Works Department with us and those currently out working in support of our city's operation a round of applause as we thank them for all that they do. So we can please sing a round of applause. And thank you, Mr. Roldan, and everything that your team does. We appreciate all the work, all the hard work that you all do for our community. Okay, at this time we'll move on to the Montebello Dog Park update presentation.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, members of the public. Real happy today to provide an update on a project that's been going on for quite a while with the City of Montebello, the city's first dog park to be located at Henry Acuna Park here in the near future. Continue on what the mayor just said about Public Works Week. I want to give a shout out to our Public Works team for overseeing the construction of this project. We'll kind of walk you through how we got to the point where we are today, how we selected the park that we chose, and why it's a good location and why we're excited for this dog park. So just some quick updates for the public and a recap, like I mentioned, of how we ended up where we are today. So Henry Acuna will be the home of the City of Montebello's first dog park, set to be open here soon. It's located right behind the Recreation Office, just north of our office across the street at 1700 West Victoria, and adjacent to existing restrooms and picnic areas. The project will provide an enclosed area for dogs to exercise, socialize, and play off-leash under the supervision of their respective owners. And the new space is approximately 3/4 of an acre of enclosed safe space. That's a little bit about the details on the dog park. Some of the features, again, showing you the construction blueprints there to show you what's going to be built and what's going into this construction project. A double gated entry, as you can see, just north or right of the Henry Acuna Park office. Large and small dog areas, as you see there, left side, small, large on the right. Several dog weigh stations, watering stations for both human and dogs, shaded benches, dog park furnishings such as obstacle courses and other activities that make it more fun than just a blank space. Various landscape improvements around the property, including inside the dog park, new irrigation systems, and an ADA accessible concrete pathway, which is also an upgrade to the park as well, kind of connecting the parking lot of the park in the front of Victoria Avenue into the dog park and getting you closer to the north side of the park on Lincoln. Also some low-level lighting to keep the security lighting at the park. So that's some of the features. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit how we ended up at Henry Acuna Park and just the entire process going way back to the city's park master plan that was adopted in July of 2021. That master plan specifically identified Henry Acuna Park as an ideal location. Heard all the feedback from the public about different places, but the master plan looked at different areas, what they call levels of service, and what the city needs to function as a full functioning recreation department in conjunction with our public works and having the proper amenities. Part of that study, the level of service showed the city was deficient in dog parks, the city was deficient in pickleball courts, right? So we built that with Measure A funds in 2022, and now we're on to the dog park. So the master plan, as I mentioned, identified Acuna as an ideal location of property the city owns. We heard about City Park, it's overbuilt. We heard about Ashia Park, we don't own that, it's owned by Edison. So Acuna Park was the best location with already on-site parking. The committee has expressed interest in a dog park since the outreach of the master plan, which was done in 2020 and 2021. And additional outreach was done both in a public meeting at Henry Acuna Park for the surrounding neighborhood, as well as at the Parks Commission meetings in 2024.
A little bit on the construction update. So this is something that started right about the turn of the calendar year here with the groundbreaking ceremony December 4th, 2024, shortly after awarding a construction contract. Several delays, some that could be easily explained here. Heavy rains in January and February. Once it gets raining, and I'll defer to Mr. Roldan if we need to on some specifics here. A rain out there, like I'm familiar with the golf course, puts you out of commission for about a week or two at a time. So that just adds delays to this project. Some easement restrictions, working with the Montebello Land and Water, and then just several different contract negotiations for the actual construction project. So that's a little bit overview. The specifics on that for the public to know. Actual update. So grading's ongoing now. Concrete forms are going in. We're expecting concrete, I think, in the next week or so. A new liner was installed just below the top surface of the recompacted area per the Montebello Land and Water specifications. Potholing was completed as required by Montebello Land and Water to determine the depth of the water pipes. So this is the potable line water. ADA ramp has been completed just off of Victoria in front of our office there. Water lines and French drains were installed for the drinking fountains, and amenities are soon to be installed. Anticipated opening, which I think we're all waiting for me to say here, is going to be late June of this year, so about 6 to 7 weeks more we'll have the dog park ready. If you go out there and have a look, it's under great construction. We've been talking to the city manager about updating the public. We'll have some nice construction highlight videos that are coming to the public on social media soon. A little bit, this is actually on the agenda tonight, the second reading of the municipal codes. I won't go too much into it, but as you know, as the council knows, at the last council meeting, the current code was identified not having language specific to the dog park. So we're addressing that by adding chapter 1227, which is known as conduct in public dog park facilities. This chapter will include designated hours of operation, regulations, signage requirements, violation penalties, and the power of park employees to enforce violations. First reading was on April 9th. The second reading is scheduled later today on the agenda on the consent calendar. It's a little extra surprise here for everybody. So the city's going to work on a sign design for the entryway of the park. It's going to not just be all the doom and gloom of the rules that we're going to have at the dog park. So you'll see some social media activity where we ask the public to help us design from the colors to the design of the sign. You'll see that here in the next coming days. He's going to get that ordered in for the construction project. So Mayor, members of the City Council, just want to provide a brief update, a little reasoning for some of the delays in the project, but we are excited to say that we're planning for this dog park to be open here in June of 2025. And if there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Okay, I'll take that after.
Yeah, Mayor, before we take questions, I just wanted to add a little bit more context to this great project, another great amenity that's coming to the city of Montebello. Just want to talk about a couple of items, timeline. Actually, I would make the case that while it seems it's taking a long time, this is actually pretty consistent with building a capital project for any city. Actually, if you actually look at, if you remember, this project was actually approved. The funding was actually last June. Typical project timeline: you go through several iterations. You have to go through a bidding process. Number one, for design, you design it. Once you go into design, you go through another whole bidding process to actually do the award of the construction, and then you actually begin construction, right? So we went through that process. Everything was documented. Everything was shown to the public. Despite those two delays, which is the main one was the heavy rains that we had in January and February. You can't build when the water is saturated. The challenges we had was we have a water line. It's owned by one of our water utilities, and above the site we were supposed to build add 5 trees, which they objected for potential impacts to their water line. So we had to redesign that component. So that took a little bit of time. But as Director Sosnowski mentioned, right now we're hitting June to open, which is almost a year, which is pretty typical. I will also add another important factor for the community to know that we make decisions as a city based on data, based on things that make sense. When I started 18 months ago or so, this project was originally scheduled to be built at the Montebello Golf Course. And when I sat down with staff and assessed that project, there was many challenges. I will tell you, the price off the bat was almost 3 times what we paid for this project. There was many challenges. There's challenges in building on the golf course. There are ADA challenges, construction challenges, sloping challenges, That's why that project would cost so much, right? So at that time, myself and staff had conversations with council, and we made an adjustment. We made an adjustment that created what we believe brought the best value to the city of Montebello. Not only in price, right? Parts are expensive, but we believe that we're on budget for this project. And then not only that, creating a new amenity based on data. The park master plan really drove this process, really drove where we're going. That number one site that was designated, identified through a collaborative process, not only through staff, but community engagement, many community meetings, is actually a Cunha Park, right? So I will say, as an administration, for council, for residents, it's a shame that we hadn't had a dog park before. Many communities have dog parks. This is just one of many amenities. Last week, we very thankfully and gladly opened up a new baseball field at Montebello City Park. And it's an $800,000 project that primarily was paid through grant funding. The city council made adjustments to pay for the rest, but another great amenity. The dog park is another great one. We are very happy about this project. Again, we're sorry it seems like it's been a long time. It's very consistent with this type of projects, and then knock on wood, unless there's some crazy challenge between now and June, this project should be opened fairly soon. So, and you'll be hearing about it. We welcome the community, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Director Sosnowski and City Manager, for the presentation. I'll look around to see if any of my colleagues have any questions, comments.
Okay, one comment and one question. Thank you for the presentation. Mr. City Manager, could you clarify how the dog park was paid for me?
This project was paid for through general fund. It was an appropriation that we requested from the city council.
Thank you.
Okay, again, thank you for the presentation. We'll move on to, before we go into the public comments, to staff communication on items of community interest. I'll turn it over to our City Manager.
Yes, Mayor, I wanna talk about an item. Usually when we do items of community interest, we try to keep it light. We talk about events and cool and fun stuff that we're having in the city. Today I want to talk about something pretty serious, and just us trying to be responsive to several inquiries that we've received recently and in near past. These inquiries that we received pertain to an investigation that was referred to the California Post Commission, which is oversees police-related matters. It was reported to them, so I wanted to read a statement that I, as a city manager, released earlier today, just so that the city and the community knows exactly our position as a city. So the headline, and this was released to all the press and social media, this is our official statement as a city of Montebello. The headline is California Post Commission decides to close their case against Montebello Chief Luis Lopez without further action. I'm going to read verbatim the statement. On May 14, 2025, the city of Montebello was informed by the California Post Commission that they will be closing their case without taking any further action against current Montebello Chief Luis Lopez. This decision was made by the California Post Commission after the city of Montebello disclosed to their legal counsel documents pertaining to the false allegations of misconduct that were made against Chief Luis Lopez. Notably, the city of Montebello provided the California Post Commission with a complete investigation that fully and completely exonerated Chief Lopez against the false accusations that were made against him. The public should be aware that personnel reported the claims to the California Post Commission despite receiving legal advice from the Montebello Police Department, Special Labor Law Counsel, from the well-respected law firm of Lieber Cassidy Whitmer, that determined the allegations did not fit within the categories of findings that need to be reported to the Post Commission. Additionally, these actions were taken without the approval of the city manager or city attorney in violation of our city personnel policies. It is very concerning that personnel went against the advice of their legal counsel and reported inaccurate information to the California Post Commission, said City Manager Raul Alvarez. These actions violated our internal policies on handling confidential investigations and personnel matters. It demonstrates reckless behavior that has significantly exposed the city of Montebello and our taxpayers to potential litigation and expense. Related to this matter, the city of Montebello condemns any illegal or unauthorized release of any confidential investigation. The city has been informed that an incomplete investigation that focused on false claims has been released on social media. That investigation does not reflect the position of the city of Montebello. The allegations against Chief Louis Lopez have no basis in fact. The city of Montebello is thankful that the California Post Commission saw beyond the false claims and have informed the city on their intent to close their case against Chief Lopez without taking any action, said Albertson. The city of Montebello will be investigating any unauthorized release of confidential documents in this matter and will be reporting to the appropriate authorities, including law enforcement, if criminal conduct is determined to have occurred. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to public comments on non-agenda items.
At this time, the public may submit speaker cards to the city clerk staff for both agenda and non-agenda items. Prior to the beginning of this statement, public hearings items do not require a speaker card. The city council will address non-agenda items during this section, and speakers will be called in the order received. Those persons not accommodated during this 30-minute period will have an opportunity to speak under, quote, public comments continued, end quote, after all scheduled matters have been considered. Public hearing, regular business, and/or consent calendar items will be addressed at the time that matter of business is heard in the order received. Please be aware that the maximum time allotted for members of the public to speak shall not exceed 3 minutes per speaker. State law prohibits the city council from taking action or entertaining extended discussion on a topic not listed on the agenda. Please show courtesy to others and direct all your comments to the mayor and city council.
First speaker is Rosa Tamayo, followed by Daniel Delgado.
Buenas noches. Saludos a...
Let me see it.
¿Ya? Buenas noches a Mayor Salvador Meléndez y miembros del Concilio. Yo soy Rosa Tamayo y estoy muy agradecida por la atención que se me dio el día 5 de mayo. Tuvimos un accidente y el departamento, el grupo de Fires nos atendieron muy bien y los oficiales de la policía estuvieron muy atentos a todo lo que nos estuvo pasando y pues nos pasó bien. Fue un accidente bastante serio, pero estamos vivas. Parece que tengo vida de gato, que ya he pasado, estoy aquí presente porque he pasado accidentes muy fuertes y con la resucitación de los bomberos estoy aquí, de 1985 que tuve el primer accidente y estando embarazada. Y también les quiero decir el siguiente asunto es, como siempre, la vivienda es una emergencia. Por favor, tiene que hacer control de renta aquí en Montebello, porque está muy alta. La gente, los sueldos están muy bajos y los trabajos están muy trabajosos para la gente. Y para la gente que menos dinero tiene, están ya para homeless. Así que por favor les pido que hagan todo lo posible por tener un control de renta. Muchas gracias. Y gracias por su llamada, Mayor Meléndez. Le agradezco mucho.
Gracias por su comentario. Can you please have the next speaker?
Next speaker is Delia Delgado, followed by James Santana.
Good evening, Councilmember Melendez, Mayor Melendez, council members, and staff. I'm here to talk about a few things that are quite important to me, have been for a while. The ongoing problems is number one with the oversized trucks running north and south on Vale Avenue and other residential streets in our city. The average tow truck weighs 8,000 to 13,000 pounds. The armored trucks weigh approximately 12,000 pounds empty to 25,000 pounds at the end of their pickups at the end of the day. Semi-trucks or 18-wheelers weigh 10,000 to 80,000 pounds. Our residential streets are showing the constant wear and tear of these commercial vehicles and semi-trucks. The signs that are currently posted are very small. Why not post signs in plain sight that have flashing lights like Cerritos, Pasadena, and some other cities? It is a small cost compared to the constant street repairs we have to make. Another thing, street curb painting. Residents are bombarded with bootleggers knocking on our doors to collect so-called donations. If the numbers are painted incorrectly, there are no recourse because there is no contact information. The bootleggers do not use reflective paint, which is required by the city, and the correct number sizing, which is also a requirement. And the work is sloppy. Just drive down Vale and you will see. Take a look at the streets and see there are different sizes, the numbers. They're not vetted and do not have a city permit or license. But there's a fix. We had a company called Canning Hunger. They're a nonprofit organization that handled our city street and curb painting and did a great job. Our residents trusted them because they were here constantly, and our residents could ask the person knocking at the door to show ID. They had ID. They would put little hanger cards that had their name, their information, and their license number. We need to go back to that because it's out of control. I have shown the director of streets by pictures that were sent to me of all the different sizes and numbers and people sitting on the curb painting and then knocking on the door and saying, "Can I have $10? And it's not for the resident to do, it's for the city to keep these things cleaned up and taken care of so our emergency responders can see the addresses. So, one more thing. On the brighter side, my brother walks City Park mostly every day and likes to sit down and have his coffee, and he commented how beautiful the parks look. I'll finish right now. Thank you, director and staff and the maintenance workers. The parks look beautiful, but they need more cans and benches.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. We can please have the next speaker.
Next speaker is James Santana, followed by Will Severa.
Good evening, Mayor, Melendez, council members, and residents. My name is James Santana, and I'm with Montebello United. I hope that the break gave everyone some space to reflect on things. I know it did for me. Over the past few months, I've been engaging, educating, and empowering our neighbors on issues around transparency, accountability, and social justice within our city, and I've had constant contact with nearly 30,000 people have interacted with Montebello United. I wanted to share with you all a lot of the comments that residents are saying in this current time. The first one is that things are making them sad that they're seeing. They're very angry with a lot that is happening. Many comments are that we're used to this type of environment, and the latest one is that we're tired of it. So there's something deeply wrong with the energy that's going on in our city. Too often when Montebello is in the news, it's always for wrong reasons. It's always for lawsuits, scandals, settlements, payouts. We elected some leaders to help us solve these problems, but instead it feels as though they're creating more. So here's my message to you, the mayor and the council and fellow residents. If you're truly against corruption, if you're truly against wasted taxpayer dollars, if you're truly against this type of lack of leadership, we don't have to continue this nonsense. In 2026, there's going to be 4 council seats that are up in districts 1, 3, 4, and 5. And to those that live in District 2, if you're unhappy with the current representation, like I am, you should consider a recall. We've seen it, and it just happened in this last year, so we know that it can happen. I encourage you all and everybody to follow and join Montebello United. We'll start having virtual and community meetings. And since I have a little bit more time, just because this press release came out today regarding the post decision does not mean that you could send bogus cease and desist letters to residents, and it does not mean that people leaked it from the community. There's an internal problem that you have, and you guys really need to control your business. That's what you get paid to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment, and we can please have the next speaker.
Next speaker is Will Serraro, followed by Taylor Gorman.
Will Serraro here for Montebello Voices. I'm here to raise awareness about the coalition of voters and to help raise additional funding for MontebelloVoices.com, where you will find a wealth of information, articles, cases, and facts about the misdeeds, misinformation, and bad legal advice by the city attorney, Arnold Glassman. On our website, MontebelloVoices.com, you'll be directed to go to a GoFundMe where we have currently raised over $6,000 in order to challenge the illegal appointment of Rick Alonso. Rick was handpicked, and now he is handpecked by Scarlett and her disgraced former elected, Cristina Cortez. Daniel Romero, appointed soon afterwards, is also questionable. Now we are stuck with an unqualified supermajority, a stupid majority, but either way, it's a super stupid majority. MontebelloVoices.com is made up of longtime residents where we've made a collective decision to pursue legal justice and challenge this fraud and sham of a council. The city attorney cited the invalid case from 1939 as Blitt versus Bolts, but the city council cannot define a quorum as less than the members of its full statutory members. In 2011, a legal opinion by Attorney General Kamala Harris agrees with Montebello Voices. Go check out the information on our page, MontebelloVoices.com. Help us by donating any amount through the GoFundMe link, and please spread the word. Got a little bit of time. Just for you guys to know, you guys had some really good information, especially your speech, but none of the community was able to hear it. Maybe at the end of the meeting, maybe replay it so the residents at the end. And I have a request, we used to have a mayor's wall. If we can get that up, we have a long history, and even if we disagree, I still believe that you guys have your places up there, and Scarlett and Sal, you guys are not up there as mayors in our history, and that's important to me. And I think a lot of the community got a little bit of time. And the doors, if you guys can leave them remain open on the sides during business hours. This is a public facility. It is paid by taxpayer dollars. And there's never been a municipal code change to close them. Renee Bobadilla did that during COVID, and we understood because of COVID, but now COVID is over. I understand it costs a lot, but you can now leave them open. You don't have to be holding the people out. If you go to LA County Registrar's office, you just go in and go to your office that you need to go to. Yes, we had one incident, but out of over 100 years, one incident shouldn't be keeping the public out of our facilities. I understand there's going to be restricted areas, but going to the fire department or going over to the clerk's office, I should not be having obstacles in my way when I want to conduct city business. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. If we can please have the next speaker.
Next speaker is Taylor Gregorian, followed by Linda Nicholas.
Taylor Gregorian, resident of Montebello for most of my life. I'm just here to voice my concern about what's going on in our city. We had our chief that was on medical, and then he got fired. How was this possible? I hope Arnold wasn't the one that advised that you could fire him, or did our manager take it upon himself to fire him? Who was responsible for firing this chief that had been on medical? And he was probably on medical because of what goes on in our city. It's enough to put anybody on medical. So that was one of my main concerns, and I think that we really need to be more aware of what's going on. We as taxpayers cannot continue to pay so many lawsuits. I says I hear lawsuits going on. You fired someone that was on medical, now that's another lawsuit. We cannot afford to keep on doing all of this. I don't know whether we need to replace our manager, our council members. We can replace when the election comes up, which is not going to be that far away. But I don't know the solution to this problem. I'm just very concerned that taxpayers' money, our money, is going to a lot of lawsuits in our city. And it's really unnecessary. We need to treat people and our employees. We need to treat them with respect and dignity. This used to be a wonderful city to work for. No, our manager comes in and he fires one of our best employees of our city. How was that possible? Who allowed that to happen? Did any of you council members have anything to say about that? It's just unacceptable what's going on in our city. And Mr. Manager, we're not in Huntington Park. You left there a year ago, and then the year after you left, something happened there. So, is that where you left? Well, we don't want our city to have the same problems. So you better get up in shape and conduct manners and our business at our city in the proper manner. I said, we are not Huntington Park, and we are not going to put up with that nonsense. When you leave here, you will leave without benefits. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, and we can please have the next speaker.
Next speaker is Linda Nicholas.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Linda Nicholas, co-founder of Match 906 Row. Mr. Severa, Montebello Voices, here's $200. That's all we have, but that's for Match. Can you guys see? Do you even have a conscience? Do you even listen to the people that come up here? They're telling you they're not happy with what you're doing to our city. Do you ever look and go home and say, look at yourself in the mirror and say, wow, that many people come up here and are upset. They're not happy. As far as the dog park, let me tell you, Scarlett, that dog park, I'm organizing all the residents on Vale, 18th, and on, what's the street right here? Victoria. We're going to lose our parking, we're going to lose our quality of life, and our property value. That's a class action lawsuit, sweetheart. It's going to be in your name and the city's. Because guess what? You didn't have to put that right against the fence of those people that live there. If that was your home, you wouldn't want those lights there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night with dogs barking and people talking. If you had to work at night, would you like that in your backyard? I don't think so. But you're not considerate of the residents. The quality of life, you've destroyed. You could have put it on the other end. You didn't do that. You could have put it at the city park where all the residents of Montebello could use it. This is in the north. The people in the south aren't going to use it. You could have put it at Reggie Rodriguez, but the people in the north were going to go down there to walk their dogs. You only think of yourself. You're selfish. But it's okay, because that dog park, trust me, when the 4 of you are out, and you will be out, that dog park is going to go back to being grass. $750,000 out of our bank account. Because Rick just asked, that's out of our general fund. That means all the taxpayers' money. That's my bank account and every taxpayer that pays money in the city. That's our taxpayers' money. That's our bank account. You're stealing from us. $750,000, that's more than Beverly Hills dog park cost. And we're in Montebello. We have people that don't even make enough money to survive. But you're going to put a $750,000 dog park. Shame on you. Shame on you. But guess what? Come next year, buddy, and the cross action lawsuit's gonna come before then. That $750,000 dog park is gonna go back to being grass. Because if it's my last word, there's two things that are gonna happen when the four of you are out. Chile Verde is gonna go back to being the Montebello golf course, and that dog park is gonna go back to being a grass.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other speakers?
Mayor, that does conclude all public comments on non-agenda items.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to, we have a public hearing.
The city attorney should, we have, go with the presentation first before opening it up, right? Correct? Confirming?
Yeah, I think that's the best practice.
Yeah,
Presentation,
okay.
open the public hearing.
For item number 10, we have a public hearing. Making the presentation is our housing manager, Rosemary Parrish.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff, and members, community members of our city of Montebello. I am Rosemary Parich, and today I am here to present on item number 10. And this is a public hearing in which staff is kindly requesting council to approve and adopt the CDBG and home consolidated plan and annual action plan. And for the first slide, it's a brief explanation of what the consolidated plan and the annual action plan are. So staff has been working for several months on this 5-year plan for funding allocation for the years 2025 through 2029. And the consolidated plan serves as the official application to HUD for our CDBG and home program funds. So these funds are what we know as Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnership Program. And the consolidated plan provides the strategy for addressing our critical housing and community development needs of our city here in Montebello. And the plan is a development based on the input of the diverse stakeholders, such as residents from our city, community leaders, nonprofits, and other community stakeholders. And the city is anticipating to receive approximately $3 million in CDBG funds throughout the 5 years, and $1 million in home funds. For the annual action plan, that's the plan that we bring to you yearly so that we can receive approval on the allocations. The annual action plan outlines how funds will be used during the first year of the 5-year plan for the programs CDBG and home. And this plan identifies strategic projects and programs for the fiscal year using HUD funds. And it supports the strategies, the goals, and objectives of the consolidated plan. And those, again, are gathered based off of the community input and the stakeholder input. And for this upcoming fiscal year, the city anticipates on receiving approximately we put $614,000 there. Today we received information from HUD that amount would be around $13,000 more. And then for the home funds, we're going to be receiving a little bit more than the $202,000 that are identified there. So the results of the community and stakeholder survey are identified on this slide. We had participation of about 75 Montebello residents that participated in the survey that we had available. And we also had 12 of our stakeholders who participated in the survey. Those 12 stakeholders are listed there for you. And the 2025 survey results, they are available upon request from the city's housing division. And you have contact information there if you would like a copy of that. Through the surveys, the priority needs that were identified are as follows. The community and stakeholders identified a need for housing, which they're asking for the city to continue providing decent housing. Public service was also a need that was identified. Economic development, public facilities and infrastructure improvements, fair housing, to expand fair housing choice and access, and also the planning and administration part of these programs. So on this slide, what you see is the allocation amounts that were requested through our application process for the upcoming fiscal year 2025-2026. And for our program admin for this first year out of the 5 years, that's the amount that is being requested, as well as for Housing Rights Center, the Section 108 loan payment. I am very happy to report that the Section 108 loan payment is going to be our final payment. It felt like it was never going to end, but Montebello, we're done after this payment. So that's great news. For Heart of Compassion, we have that amount of $52,500 that was requested. I'm sorry, they requested a little bit more than that, but this is the allocation amount that is available for this upcoming fiscal year. The Youth Employment Program, which is a very important program here in our city, that's the allocation amount that was requested as well. We had a request for a fire emergency response vehicle. After receiving guidance from our HUD rep, we were able to identify that our CDBG funds are able to fund this project here. And for home program admin, that's the amount that you see that we're going to be allocating for that. Our housing rehab grant program, it's a very new program. Our community members are already taking advantage of it for those who qualify, and that is the amount that we have available for this program for this upcoming fiscal year. And then we have our CHODO program, and that's the amount that we have allocated for this as well. Oh, the amount for CHODO is $700,000. The amount for a housing rehab grant program that we have available is $1,052,707. And then for home program admin, we have that $194,745.69. And that's it for my presentation today. If you have any questions, we are happy to answer them now.
Thank you so much for the presentation and for all of the hard work in making this happen. City Attorney, I think at this time it would be appropriate to open the public hearing. Sure. So the public hearing is open. Now it's 8:22. At this time, if any member from the public would like to speak on this item, please come over here to the front.
Linda Nicholas again. I'm not going to bash you. I'm going to thank you for giving Hearts of Compassion that amount of money. I was corrected in when I told you that they feed 3,000 families a week. They feed 20,000 people a week. I happened to mention to Pastor Eric. He goes, "No, Linda, it's 20,000 people." So thanks to you all giving him that money, there's a lot of people that are not going to go to bed hungry. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Joseph?
Hello, Mayor, Council. I usually don't come up here that much. I try not to cause problems. I just want you, as council, if you're gonna, for most of you, roughly have about 2 more terms. I'm not gonna look at nobody. But if you want to be successful in your district, you need to keep this on a yellow sticky note on the corner of your office. This year's funding has already been allocated, but we got 4 more years of funding from what I was told. If you look at this, nothing is in District 5 and 4. I like Linda, I have nothing against Linda, I respect Linda a lot, but Hearts of Compassion is not my top priority. We could use this money a lot better for residents. Yes, 20,000 people, but it's not 20,000 Montebello residents. It's 20,000 people who are gonna be living here once the Olympics go to LA. And ask our chief, that ain't gonna be easy to deal with. So if you're gonna represent District 4, 5, and a small portion of 3 that's on south of that railroad tracks, Mr. Mayor, you might wanna keep this on the corner of your desk. And every year when this comes up, this year we already allocated $600 and something thousand, almost $1 million to say. We have 4 more years of this free money coming. You need to make sure it goes to the residents of Montebello, not corporate America who's gonna use it to quote unquote fund their meeting in the Caribbean. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor Melendez, council members, and staff. There is a bullet point there on home rehabilitation funds. I spoke with Mr. Palumbi about this before, is a lot of the homeowners in Montebello, even in Southside, do not qualify. Their homes are too high. The cost of their home is too high, so they don't qualify for these funds to rehabilitate their homes. So I know he was working very hard to inform those that allocate those funds that they need to increase the property value. I mean, the property values are already high, but increase the amounts in order for the Montebello residents to qualify. So a lot of those funds do not get used for home rehabilitation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, at this time we'll be closing the public hearing. It is 8:26. The public hearing is now closed, and it is at the council level discussion. I'll look to see if any of my colleagues have any questions, comments. Councilmember Peralta.
Granular of Montebello in every aspect, from housing to homelessness to demographics, all the risks that fall within those categories, and really using that data, not only that data, but the data that comes from the community outreach that you all conducted to really inform the projects, initiatives that are at the forefront for funding for this year. I do have a question. But I also do want to level set in terms of some of the comments that have been made in terms of our community. Although we are in a district level way now for the city of Montebello, I do want to level set in terms is, I believe in District 4, and I do want to uplift Ms. Nicholas's comment that they feed thousands of employment rates in terms of residents no longer qualifying or having access to certain services. And I think this is the critical moment where, as council, we make these decisions of funding these types of programs that can provide food assistance to our residents, ensuring that if they are facing any economic issues, that at least they have an organization like Heart of Compassion. I know Lionsgate does food distributions that they can count on during those times of uncertainty. We also are looking all youth are able to apply for this opportunity. Not only does it upskill them, it provides them the opportunity to get trained. Sure. So, let's see. Right. Okay, I'll try to. It stands for Community Housing Development Organization, and these funds are we're allowed to issue these funds to nonprofits who are community housing development organization. And in our case, we have Cesar Chavez, who has applied for funding towards affordable housing projects that they currently have here in our city. And so that's what the allocation, that's what we're hoping to do with those funds.
So it would go towards that project to
Yes.
help subsidize it in some way. Got it. Okay. And then I do want to ask in terms of just the certainty of these funds. I know, a few months or weeks ago, there's just been a lot of uncertainty at the federal level in terms of these types of funds continuing. I know that specifically community development block grants were at the chopping block at one moment and now are, have been reinstated. I do know this is a 5-year plan, and we are being allocated on a yearly basis, correct? We don't necessarily get that lump sum all in once.
Exactly.
Is there any assurance in terms of, I don't know, in terms of the legislation or where we're at with this type of funding to continue on in the incoming years?
Yes, it's a very valid question given what's going on right now. But for our first year today, HUD confirmed that are going to be for us. We just have to submit the plan and make sure that it gets approved by council first. But for our first year, we got the funds. HUD has not indicated that they see any issues of us not receiving our funds in the future. So if we hear of any information like that, our director, my boss, will definitely be the one to give that information to you all.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Rosemary. Thank you, Mary. That concludes our comments.
Mayor, council members, if I would just add a little bit on the uncertainty of the funds. It's a very important question because it's something that actually informs our thought process in terms of how do we, or what do we recommend for council to approve. It's a concern for us, right? And I think many municipalities are going through this, the uncertainty of funds being available next year, right? And why that matters is because one of the things that we're in the projects and the programs and things that we're recommending, we were very strategic in ensuring that living in the now, planning for the future, but in living in the now in the sense that we're recommending programs and fundings that will have direct impact to the Montebello community now, right? Case in point, we're talking about Hearts of Compassion. I think all of you know Hearts of Compassion. This is one, frankly, if we could have, we would actually provide more funding. It's actually capped at 50% of the allocation, so that's actually the maximum that we can provide to Hearts of Compassion. And otherwise, we would have actually done more. But we can attest, we know, right? We can provide data, but just knowing the organization that we work with, they have direct impacts to residents. Our youth employment program helps build our community, right? Helps provide those opportunities. So it's something that we think about. We're thinking about on a daily basis. We're holding our breath. Hopefully funding is there available next year, right? Yes. Just know that for the time being, we want to make sure that we're recommending programs that have direct impact, and we believe the everything that's being approved right now does have direct impact with residents.
Does anybody else have any questions, comments?
I was just going to make so all of this is a process. The process goes through, as you stated, Rosemary, starts with the survey and with the community input, and that's how this list of proposed projects comes up, and the amounts. And again, it services all of the city. It's not specific to districts. It's not this for the south, more for the north. It's for all of the residents of Montebello. And just to explain a little bit about the CHOTA program, it's $700,000 that goes into, you could consider it leveraging additional funds, because the city will put in $700,000, but in return, it will get a $30 million or so project. So you're leveraging those funds, and so I think it's also a good benefit. And again, the total money is designated because a certain amount of the home money specifically is for totos. So you either use it or not use it, but to use it, you have to be a certified community and housing development organization. So that money is very, very, very restricted, but thank you for finding a way to use it and to leverage those funds.
Thank you for that comment. If there's no other comments or questions, just again want to thank you for the presentation and for all the hard work that your team has put into this, and for really including everybody, our residents and some of the stakeholders that you mentioned. I think something in the near future that I'd like to see would just be, and I know we've done it, but just having once these, like specifically the home rehabilitation program, just more of an outreach to the community so more folks can know, because sometimes it's I know we do a good job at doing it, but we could always increase the pool of participation and folks to know about these programs, because I know we get a lot of questions about stuff that the city can do, and sometimes it doesn't go to the whole community. So just I think that'd be something that we can work on and just hopefully get that outreach out there. But again, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
We'll move on to regular business, item number 11.
Take any action?
Oh. I was so excited that I forgot to take action. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item. Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Peralta. We have a second by the Mayor Pro Tem. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Granda.
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. Now it's official. All right, we'll move on to regular business, item number 11.
Mayor, council members, item number 11 is adopt resolution 25-29 for the installation of an all-way stop at the intersection of 3rd Street and Los Angeles Avenue. The presentation is being given by Director of Public Works, Cesar Romero.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Mayor and council members, this presentation in front of you is an item that was brought in front of the Traffic and Safety Commission, and it requires your approval in order for us to install the stop sign at the intersection of 3rd Street and Los Angeles Avenue. So residents around the area had requested a four-way stop at this intersection. Currently, there is existing stops on the north-south stop signs on 3rd Street, but not on Los Angeles Avenue. The traffic engineer conducted a stop sign warrant analysis study report per California Manual on Traffic Control Devices, and the Traffic and Safety Commission reviewed the report at the regularly scheduled March 31st, 2025 meeting. So a little bit of background as to how we go about installing stop signs. So the California MUTCD establishes specific requirements for the installation of stop signs. So there's actually 3 criteria needed for us to fully engage and actually install the stop signs. And they pertain to volume, collisions, and sight distance. The most important one here being that the number of volume of average of 300 vehicles per 8 hours, but that actually has to be within a 24-hour period. So we're every 8 hours, we're supposed to be looking at 300 plus vehicles crossing that intersection. We also look at collisions over a 12-month period, and it requires there to be 5 or more, which none of the sight distance, collision, or volumes actually met the warrants. So the Traffic and Safety Commission did not concur with the traffic engineer's study report, and therefore bringing this in front of you for a decision tonight. Just some of the legal requirements behind this. The installation of stop signs do not absolve the city from potential liability. The primary purpose of stop signs are to control the intersection. A fully justified and properly installed stop sign can facilitate traffic movements, effectively assign right-of-way, reduce vehicle delay, and decrease accidents. A stop sign is not a cure-all and is not a substitute for other traffic control devices. Some of the disadvantages and advantages of adding stop signs. The advantages of a stop sign is that assignment of the right-of-way to drivers at an intersection, meaning as soon as you get to the four-legged intersection, you understand that you must stop. Obviously improves the safety of that intersection. Some of the disadvantages is stop sign installs that are not warranted cause the following: reduce their effectiveness and are largely ignored by drivers. So if every block in that area has a stop sign, and especially if you live within the area, you start to ignore it and you pass through them anyways. So you run the stop. And then it unnecessarily increases fuel consumption, and air and noise pollution are actually reduced because there's another stop that you must make. And then they may actually cause an increase in potential accidents, getting hit from behind because somebody wasn't paying attention. This picture right here is the street view on 3rd Street at Los Angeles Avenue looking north. And then this is the street view of 3rd Street at Los Angeles Avenue looking west. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Roldan, for the presentation. I'll look to see if my colleagues have any questions or comments. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Okay.
So I know there was also a request that was taken to the Traffic and Safety Commission to put a four-way stop sign on Los Angeles and Fifth. If you recall, this was a couple of months ago, so I don't know if that was evaluated or what happened to that request, because it seems similar to this. And I know there is a stop sign on Los Angeles and 6th, I believe, and Los Angeles and 7th. So 5th didn't have one, so if now one is going on 3rd.
I believe that intersection was also denied.
Denied, okay.
Right, yeah, and then we also have, for example, another request at Los Angeles and Greenwood, right? So, no, that's just west of Olympic. I'm sorry, west of Montebello, north of Olympic. You know, the reason that a lot of the residents are requesting stop signs in that area is because of the grade separation project. But once the grade separation project starts, or it opens up again several years from now, though, then there's going to be less traffic on those streets anyways. And that's just primarily just going to be focusing on local traffic.
So the 5th in Los Angeles was denied, and so was the 3rd on Los Angeles, but.
Yeah, so this one was denied. However, the Traffic and Safety Commission stated that they did not concur with the analysis, and hence we bring this in front of City Council for your ultimate approval.
Okay.
So do you have a comment? Or no? Okay.
Yes, I myself drove through it so I could see why it had been denied. And I also understand you did the analysis, but sometimes even though you have an analysis, it doesn't show what the residents are experiencing. You know, and I've experienced that on my own street. There was an analysis done, and I was shocked that the analysis didn't show what I was constantly seeing. So I do understand why the Traffic and Safety Commission disagreed with the decision.
If I may, so this actually falls on District 3. So I'm a little familiar with this area. I actually got to canvass this area well, and one of the concerns that the residents brought up in this specific area was wanting a stop sign in that area. They had concerns about folks speeding and not stopping, and kind of also trying to make a left. I think we were going, northbound. So I would, I know it doesn't absolve us from any liability. And the question I was going to ask, when we do like a traffic study in regards to accidents or, any type of accidents, how far out do we look on, getting some of those reports? I know some of the residents had said, that there had been some accidents 10, 15 years ago, and just like wondering if it goes to that extent or if it's just like the last 5 years, or when we make an analysis on.
So in this case, Mayor, it's just 1 year. So in a 12-month period, if there's more than 5, then that was actually one of the criterias. In this case, there wasn't. I mean, residents will always say there's accidents, but when we check police records, right, the chief helps us out with that. I'm allegedly one of the most knowledgeable people here when it regards to going to court and defending the city, right? Because that's my position at the moment. And the attorneys on the other side, they want to see, information from 5 to 10 years out, which can't be hidden because we provide them with all the information. We're extremely transparent to both sides because we obviously want to understand too whether or not some of these locations are actually dangerous to the safety of the community, right? And that's important to yourself, it's important to myself, and it's obviously important to our residents. But in this case, it just didn't meet the warrant. And like I informed the Traffic and Safety Commission, the best thing I could do is bring this in front of you so that you could decide whether or not to put in a stop sign. Again, stop sign signals, if you actually read the California METCD, those things are really not what we're supposed to be doing. We're just supposed to be almost like a freeway where the vehicles just drive on whatever major roadway it is, Olympic, Montebello, and so forth, and there's stop signs at, any streets that kind of front those. So in this case, it just didn't meet that warrant.
Understood. Is there any other comments, questions? No. I'd like to, just based on the information kind of just that was presented, and just working on this analysis, getting that information, and kind of through some experience and talking to some of the residents that live there, and driving through that area, I'd like to urge my colleagues to support putting a stop sign there. So I'd like to make a motion to put a stop sign and to approve the item.
A motion to approve.
So would that be a second, Councilmember? Okay, so we have a second. We can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 12.
Mayor, item number 12 is the Ward Professional Services Agreement number 4313 for final design of a storm drain improvements on 4th Street from Beach Street to Mines Avenue. We don't have a presentation for this item, but we're happy to address any concerns or questions that council may have.
Okay, I'll look around to see if anybody has any questions or comments. No? See none, at this time I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I'll motion to approve item number 12.
I second.
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Peralta, and we have a second by Councilmember Alonso. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. Okay, we'll move on to item number 13, and I believe we do have a presentation.
Yes, sir. Item number 13 is award construction agreement number 4311 for the paving the way program Montebello Boulevard from Los Angeles Avenue to Lincoln Boulevard. Presentation is being given by Public Works Director Cesar Roldan.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Once again, Mayor, council members, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a paving the way project that's been around for quite some time. The finance director keeps looking at me and telling me to spend the money. Otherwise, we're going to lose it somehow. And so in this case, Montebello is obviously a major arterial throughout the city. It's not traveled just by our residents and our community members, but many traversing north-south from the several surrounding communities. So what we're looking to do is to pave the segment of Montebello between Lincoln and Los Angeles. Part of the enhancements include ADA, American with Disabilities Act enhancements at the intersections. Also, we are looking to put in landscape center medians. We advertised this project several months ago per public contract code and per our municipal code. We came back, reviewed the bids, made sure that we checked references, that the companies that submitted in bids were qualified, and all of them were qualified. Again, this goes to the lowest bidder, which happened to be Toro. And Toro is a company that does a lot of similar type works, so we feel confident that there should not be any issues or concerns with them. So this is a timeline of when we started. City Council gave us authorization back in March. We took almost a month or so for the bidding period. There were several questions asked by the contractors looking to perform this work. We went ahead and answered all those questions. We had a bid opening on the 23rd. Everything was submitted through our city clerk's office. Now we are here seeking authorization to award the contract to Toro. We're tentatively looking to commence this project in July. It always depends on where the contractor is with other projects, maybe even sooner. The idea is to go to them tomorrow if this is approved and start kind of discussing when this project might actually start. We're looking to complete the construction by or before March of 2026 and closing out this project in April of 2026. So this is a highlighted section of the area where we're doing. We have several projects in the area that we have to kind of work around to. One of the projects is Los Angeles as we get closer to the Great Separation Project. So we'll be working with San Gabriel Valley COG. We'll be working with OLA, who's our contractor, and AECOM, who is overseeing the construction management and inspection of the project. And with that being said, if you have any questions, I know at some point in time, the council member had asked about certain designation for fauna. What we'll do is once we get closer to the landscaping and things like that, we'll have more in-depth conversations as to what we want to mimic. If there's certain, drought-tolerant native plants that we want to utilize, we'll be happy to discuss that with the city manager and yourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Roldan, for the presentation. I'll look to see if my colleagues have any questions, comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
A quick question. So is it going to be a continuation basically of from Lincoln North on Montebello Boulevard, the median? Is it more or less a continuation of that?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be a very similar type so that there's some sort of continuity.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But again, regarding vegetation, landscaping, and things like that, we could always kind of talk about that.
Thank you.
Councilman Peralta?
Yeah, I just want to state that I know that among council and residents, there's a very big priority to work on our residential areas. And I know that this area is more of a kind of like a arterial way throughout our city. But I do just want to uplift that we just, I believe it was about 30 street segments that were repaved through the SB 2324 funding that just throughout different districts, different streets were recently completed. And I know that the SB 2526 streets will be coming up for consideration for council. And so I do want to just uplift that we hear our residents in terms of prioritizing residential streets, and that this next SB1 funding that will be coming to the table for council consideration in the next, I would say, few months, will be prioritizing those residential streets within each of our districts. So just wanted to provide that comment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your comment. My only question would be, so this area, there's some traffic already kind of like by, regards to the underpass, and there's flow of traffic is going, east to west now and trying to get some of those side streets. What's the plan here for like the closure of the street? I mean, is it going to go, are we going to close some lanes to go, start off, like, I just want to see kind of what the plan is to reduce as much traffic as possible to an area that's already kind of impacted. I think it's a great project for us, but just kind of trying to see how we can mitigate some of that.
Yes, sir. That's actually the most important question, traffic. So like you stated, we would actually do lane by lane, and we would allow both a northbound and a southbound lane to exist at the same time. So the number 1 lane and the number 2 lanes that are being repaved and so forth. Now, because we are adding center medians and kind of expanding some of the landscaping in that, there's going to be a lot of trenching that's going to take place. So there's a lot of coordination with the water company, making sure that we have the water lines, that we have the proper irrigation valves and so forth in order to feed water to the landscaping. And then, that's why this is a 6-month project. And I apologize because it's going to be very tedious. At some point in time, you guys are going to all want to fire me for other reasons than just traffic, and I don't blame you guys. But the truth is, like, we are cognizant of all this work. And then there's also other work that ties in as we're doing work on Whittier and so forth. So I have to really truly manage all the projects. We have conversations weekly with the city manager's office as to how do we coordinate these efforts. And so I do have a good, we have a lot of team members, consultants-wise, that are going to help us with that. And of course, like going back to Councilmember Peralta, we also have the current design of 24, 25 streets as well, which will include another 30 streets or so. So I know residents are looking at Montebello and saying, why again? Well, but we are starting to pave a lot of the residential streets, and we're focusing on what's important to the residents as well. And you know, if you think about it, Montebello has higher truck traffic, more buses, higher usage. So of course it's going to deteriorate faster than say your local roadways. But we are working on that. We'll coordinate, make sure that we're working with David's group to make sure that outreach is out there to our residents and businesses. And we will minimize as much disruption as possible to allow businesses access during those times, because we also hear from the businesses, and what we'll do is we'll walk business to business, especially the small businesses that obviously need our help.
Thank you for that. And that was actually going to be my second question, and just more, you know, working with staff to see how we can work with our business communities. And I'm thinking more specifically kind of like where Pollo Loco and like that area, you know, there's a lot of small businesses there, and I'm sure a project like this can severely impact them if, you know, there's not enough traffic flow going into those, you know, if it gets closed down and stuff like that. And we've had some issues in the past before your time, but just, you know, kind of, you know, working with our business community, with our chamber, and just getting the messaging out there. But thank you for all of your hard work in this. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I motion to approve.
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Alonso.
I second.
Was that Councilmember Romero? Okay. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta.
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. Okay, that item carries. We'll move on to the consent calendar.
Okay, City Council, before you now is the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine. Any items a member wishes to discuss, including any items the public submitted speaker cards for, should be designated at this time. All other items may be approved in a single motion. Such approval will also waive the reading of any ordinance. And I will ask the council members if anyone would like to pull an item from consent, starting with Councilmember Peralta. Councilmember Alonso.
No items.
Councilmember Romero.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Yes, I would like to pull item 18, item 19, and item 20.
Okay, and Mayor Melendez.
No items.
Okay, so items numbers 18, 19, and 20 are pulled. So now before you is the balance of the consent calendar.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the remainder of the items.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Peralta.
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Alonso. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta.
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. Okay, we'll move on to item number 18 that was pulled by Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Yes. So Plaza Drive. Plaza Drive is that small little street that sits behind, that's tucked behind the shops at Montebello, the back way, going the back way. It's right adjacent to the Metro Heights area. And I had brought it up before, but I think we need to look at, in the future, when development is happening in the city of Montebello, that the developers take responsibility also for the adjacent streets or the streets that are improved. For example, when Cesar Chavez did their development, didn't they improve some of the streets that were surrounding the project?
Let me check. This predates me, so I don't know does staff happen, somebody in staff know that's the case?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. So the Cesar Chavez Project, they did, there were improvements and impact fees that were paid. They also committed to the scrambled crosswalk that is going in. So, and I do believe that Senator Archuleta provided the city with $2 million for some infrastructure improvement that I believe would also cover the repaving of the streets as well. So, and that was associated with the Cesar Chavez project.
With the Cesar.
Yes.
So that's the type of, the type of activity I think that we should push toward. And again, Metro Heights is a huge project with 1,200 new homes going in there. All of the trucks, the cement trucks, all the heavy equipment is going up that street. And they're the ones, causing the damage to the street, but who has to pay? The city of Montebello. And I know we're using, it's not general fund money, but it's Proposition C funds. But again, we could have used that Prop C to improve another street and have the Metro Heights folks pay for Plaza Drive. So my point on this is, how can we look at future developments, and again, like development impact fees, which our neighboring cities have, Pico Rivera, other cities that I looked up. How can we implement something like that so we don't see this again, where the city has to pay for an improvement that should be paid by a developer?
Director Pearlini, before you go, so on this one, so what's interesting about this project, yes, the good news is we're not using general fund. The bad news with that is, yes, probably we could have used that money for something else. Now, the hard part is that this predates me. This is probably a unique project in the scope and size and just what's the end return, right? The difficult part for us right now is these were negotiated a very long time ago. These agreements are vested, so we can't recoup those costs. Now, I'll allow Director Palombi to talk a little bit about our impact fees. We do have impact fees, right? And those are applied to each project. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about how we work towards that?
Yes, Mr. City Manager, thank you very much. What I would say is that regarding impact fees, we have taken a very careful look at our we do have current impact fees. Currently there is a development tax that is charged per residential unit for new construction. And then there's also a parkland fee that is charged for residential construction, and that's per unit. And then we have the art and public places fee. Those are the three impact fees that we currently have. But what I will say is, working with Director Salarza and on the recent study that was done for the fee schedule that will be coming forward, we did have a very robust discussion on impact fees. And that's something that we're going to sort of carve out and work. As a matter of fact, we have meetings coming up the next week or so with the consulting group that was hired to do the fee study analysis to talk about impact fees and how we can be better at charging those fees and comparable to other cities, as you mentioned, Mayor Pro Tem. So we are looking at that very closely. In addition to that, for new projects that come forward, we do have a very good, open line of communication with our departments, including Public Works, where we would send projects to the departments for review, and we get back comments as to what improvements they see need to happen, and then we incorporate those into the projects. So that's kind of how we're looking at it holistically.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just would like to put the city in a position where that we shouldn't be paying for this cost. I mean, again, that's just my point. What can we do now? And I know this was something that was previously approved, it was before us, but what can we do now to avoid this situation in the future?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? No? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the item.
I'll motion to approve the item.
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Peralta.
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Alonso. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta.
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. That item gets approved. We'll move on to item number 19. That was also pulled by Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Item 19. Item 19 is regarding Natasha Lane. So this comes before us, or at least as far as I've been here, it comes before us every year. So this is a payment that is particular to this this assessment district, and the city pays for it, fronts the money, and then gets reimbursed. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, and do we recover the full cost?
Partially on 19, and on item number 20, no.
Okay, so I, again, would like to see what the options are for the city, because if the city is losing money by having this particular assessment district, like what are the options for the city?
I'll take this. Mayor Pro Tem, so, yeah, we're in a for items number 19 and 20, they're pertain to the same assessment district. This is a unique situation that our city is in, for an assessment district that was created many years ago for 20 properties, just relatively small for an assessment district, before my time. But I imagine when it was created, for the reasons it was created, whatever those were, they probably thought that they were creating it with the structure that would be able to pay for itself, right? The unfortunate part now, 2025 times, it's not paying for itself. The way the assessment district was structured, it doesn't account. Well, it has a CPI increase, which it's at 3%. You know, average agreements right now are like at 7.5%, right? Depending, it varies given the matrix you use, right? So even on that measure, it's outdated. But what the assessment district did not account for was incurred maintenance costs, right? So annually, sometimes the most recent, the biggest cost that we've had recently has been the lift station. And the public works director can correct me. I mean, the shelf life was 10 years and it went all the way to 20 years, right? So even it outlived the shelf life quite a bit. That said, so it went out, we replaced it. There's some cost overruns on the landscaping component for this assessment district. You are correct. You see this every year because it's assessed to their property taxes, and we have to bring it legally for approval. I think moving forward, we're assessing our options in terms of how do we recoup these costs, right? So the reality is around this time next year, hopefully we'll start working a little sooner on it to see what's the best mechanism. Now, this was in order for us to change such an assessment district, or even the payment structure, or how we recoup fees, it is subject to Prop 218, so we would need their approvals to do such a thing. So it's not an easy task. It's not something that happens like overnight. So I would ask for council to bear with us, right? We have to bring this by law next year around the same time. And hopefully by then we'll have a little bit more developed options, and that's a plan for now, right? But for the time being, we legally need to bring this to council. They are legally an assessment district. We need to maintain their services, so we're hopeful that you can be supportive to that extent.
No, understood. I know it's that we need to approve it now, but I want to look at a year from now to see what the options are, because in reading the staff report, it looks like for next year, we're not going to have enough of a fund balance to pay, and I'm sure it gets worse every year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, at this time I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 19.
I motion to approve.
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Alonso.
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Romero. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. Okay, that item gets approved. We'll move on to item number 20. I know it was also discussed, but I'll throw it back to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, no, it's similar. The item 20, in item 20, the city does not get reimbursed for any part of what it pays for that.
Mayor Pro Tem, no. The short answer is no. At this time, we do not.
Okay.
That's what we're assessing towards the future.
Okay, great. So yeah, on the same request that we look at the options for the city.
Anybody that would like to speak on this item? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a first by Councilmember Romero,
I second.
and we have a second by Councilmember Alonso. Can I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Peralta,
Aye.
Councilmember Alonso,
Aye.
Councilmember Romero,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo,
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
I vote aye. All right, that concludes the consent calendar. We'll move on to AB 1234 travel reports. Is there anybody that has anything to report? No? I attended the SCAG conference, so I'm reporting the SCAG conference for the AB 1234.
Yeah, I also attended SCAG conference as the appointed delegate. We did have a voting session. We did vote on several items, and there were multiple sessions that were made available as well.
Thank you for that. All right, we have no council orals, but before we do conclude this this meeting, I would like to acknowledge our fire personnel and our fire department. I know this early morning, late night, there was a couple of fires, and I know there was several of our staff members, our fire personnel that were there. And Chief, I don't know if there's anything to report on that, but I know we had 2 big fires here in the city, right?
Hello? Yeah, you're correct, Mayor. We had 2 fires this morning. One at about approximately 1 this morning on Loma. That was a garage fire with a Tesla in it. It was a little challenging. It started to get into the house, but they again knocked it down pretty aggressively. If you guys have seen the video, it's pretty impressive how they did it. Then we had the stable fire. About 10 years ago, we had a huge fire down there in the stables, down there in the riverbed. We lost some horses. They did another aggressive attack. It was actually, they did a great job. So they were able to save the horses. Fires down there are always really dicey. No hydrants down there. So these guys have to think on their feet immediately getting there because the water supply is very sporadic down there. They have to lay long hose lines to get down to the bottom. So time is of the essence, but they did a really aggressive attack. Very proud of them again. We've supported them, we've funded them, and this is the results of all that hard work that we've done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Fire Chief, and again, thank you to our fire personnel. Yeah. Yes.
Before we adjourn, I would just like to have a moment of silence for Chef Allen. He is someone that grew up here in the city of Montebello. He attended Montebello High School. He was a very talented pastry chef and the proud owner of Sol y Luna Donuts that, for those who have been to Picaresca Cafe in Boyle Heights, he was actually the one that supplied their delicious pan dulce. He was also a musician growing up. A lot of us knew him. He actually shot a lot of his music videos throughout the city of Montebello. He was very, very proud to be a resident here. Sadly, he did pass away last month due to a car accident, and he does leave behind his son. I did just want to go ahead and end today's meeting in his memory, and we, on behalf of City Council, sending our condolences to his family. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and if we'll hold a moment of silence for that. Okay, thank you, and thank you everybody who joined us to watch the meeting, and thank you everybody who submitted a public comment. Meeting is adjourned.